Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to have you back with us again. Many of you have been asking how you get to the previous shows, and it's very simple. You can subscribe on YouTube on A Time for Truth show. And during the course of this segment, the engineer will put it down at the bottom of the screen. YouTube Time for Truth show. And tonight, we have a very important presentation because it deals with example, it deals with what needs to be done, what can be done, and we're very lucky to have a man with us who has accomplished a lot in sports, in education, and engineer. If you put him up on the screen, I want to introduce to our viewers, our guests, Mr. Harvey Young, presently of Sunrise, Florida, but originally of New York, Harlem, New York, and a sports and community activist, a retired school administrator of the New York Board of Education, a longtime member and administrator of the Sports Foundation of New York City, and a standout basketball player. There you see him. Harvey's basketball career started at the YMCA, where he began as a swimmer and was given an opportunity to play basketball for the boys of yesteryear. He was selected as a member of the New York City Biddy All-Star team that competed nationally. In Harlem, he attended JHS 139 and started on the varsity team, which became city champions. From there, he caught the eye of DeWitt Clinton High School basketball coach and began an outstanding career at Clinton, once again becoming city champion and leading those governors in assists. Mr. Harvey attended Canton Technical Community College and NYU, where he also starred not only as a basketball player, but as a student. He is currently director of the Harlem Business Plan and board member of the Real Harlem Basketball Players Incorporated, which mission is to recognize and educate the world on the outstanding individuals of the Harlem community and all of New York City boroughs. And Buddha, there he is again on the screen. And if you bring him up live, I want to bid a warm welcome to our guests. Welcome to A Time for Truth show.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I want to get right into it because there's so much I know we have to cover. I want to ask you first is, what was it like playing at DeWitt Clinton High School and becoming city champion?
Well, first you got to start with trying out for the team. As you know, DeWitt Clinton was an all-boys high school. There were 7,000 of us in the school. The first day of practice for tryouts, I'd say half the school came out, about 3,000 students. You can pick a good team out of 3,000 young men that just dying to play for this team. Um and to make the team out of that amount of people competing, that was a tremendous accomplishment. I had the good fortune of playing 3 years of varsity basketball. I was one of the few guys who made the varsity in the 10th grade. And of course, that didn't sit well with some of my classmates or seniors, but you had to play team ball, and I love to win. And I think I and my determination gave me a better opportunity to play 3 years at DeWitt Clinton High School. So I was privileged and happy to make the team. And the rest is history. City champs, we went in 66, 21-0, no losses. I played with some of the best ball players in New York City it was just a privilege to play with the best. And the best went to DeWitt Clinton High School. So I feel honored and privileged to have experienced that in my life. And it led to a lot of good things. You were well known, well liked. Uh, I ended up graduating with 127 scholarship offers. I was a big recruit coming out of Harlem at that time. And I was fortunate enough to have a great background in education because my mother was a teacher. And, you know, when she said, sit down, you sat down and you listened to her, and you had to do your homework before you went outside. And she had strict rules about good grades, and the rest is history. But DeWitt Clinton was the mecca of basketball for many years. I think we won 18 city titles. I think it's 18. I'm not quite sure, but it's a lot. And some of the best ball players that came out of Harlem, because Harlem was a direct feed to DeWitt Clinton. You graduated from Frederick Douglass Junior High School. It was one of the few schools that fed DeWitt Clinton basketball players over decades and decades. But DeWitt Clinton was tough. That was a great moment in my life to play 3 varsity years. And I think we went 19-2. The first year we went 21-0. The second year, city title. And the last year we went 15-3. We were the only team in 67 to get to the final championship game. We beat Brandeis in the semifinals and advanced to the finals. Brooklyn, Queens were having problems with violence, and there were fights and gunshots, and they never could get to the finals. And because of violence, New York City Public School Commission just shut it down. And that hurt me because that was my senior year. I wanted to prove we could repeat as city champions, and we never got an opportunity to play another game because of violence. So technically, we advanced the farthest. I say we were city champs that year too, but it's not official. But I end up getting a lot of college scholarships because of my experience there, and I'm very thankful. Very thankful.
Well, you know what? It's a fantastic story, and something to really look at with a lot of pleasure. And I wanted to ask you, how did you? I mean, you kind of answered this already because your mother was into teaching and education. So, what led you from sports and then into education?
I don't know. I think I'm just an athletic kind of competitive guy. I started out as a swimmer, and I tried to play both sports. By the time I was 14, I realized I had to give up one or the other. So I basically did swimming in the summertime, and throughout the rest of the year, I would play basketball. So I was always in pretty good shape. I was a certified lifeguard at 17 years old, so that gave me employment opportunities at a young age. And because of my competitive nature, I was always competing. As you can see, I worked with Sports Foundation for 39 years as the director of the New York City Youth Olympics. Well, we originally started in Harlem on 135th Street and 7th Avenue. Bob Williams was the executive director. Roscoe Brown of Tuskegee Airmen. They were two of my mentors, and they employed me to start the Harlem Youth Olympics. By the time I finished, it was the New York City Youth Olympics. We took in 25 to 35,000 kids each summer. Everything was free. We did mentoring, we did drug awareness, we did counseling, we did college prep. Of course, we had the Olympic program and all-star games at which me and Bobby Hunter did a lot of basketball clinics, along with a lot of other basketball players. I had access to a lot of NBA players, players who played in the Harlem uh, community and the Rucker tournament who gave back by speaking to the kids, talking to them, letting them know how to make it in college and how to make it in life. And it's very valuable when young adults can hear someone speaking from the heart, not a pad and a notepad, but speaking directly to them with love and concern. And my experience at Sports Foundation was unbelievable. It was just amazing. It was just as big as my career and education because both of them put a smile on my face, a real big smile. I was very successful as a educator and as an athlete, and I'm blessed. I want to give back because so much was given to me, and the good Lord looked over me, and I want to give something back to my community, which is Harlem, which I love. As a matter of fact, I was born in Harlem Hospital and educated in Harlem, and that's my birthplace.
Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you did. And I'm curious, does that continue now in present time, that City Olympics, or does that need to be rejuvenated, or is that still going on?
Well, well, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. When I grew up in Harlem, the churches were open, the schools were open, Saturday community centers were open. What happened to the funding? Everything shut down and closed. Children got to pay to participate. Um, they have to change that. Somewhere along the line, I know if I had the proper amount of money in a building, I could showcase an all American program that will benefit children. Children will benefit by participating because of the love and the concern and the giving back to children that need it the most. A lot of these children financially may be challenged, parents working multiple jobs or no parents, grandparents raising children or children raising. It's so much. So when they come to school, you got to present an environment that's going to address multiple needs. For example, can the child see? When was the last time the child had a physical? How can the kid learn if he can't see? How will we know that if we don't test? So money is very instrumental in being successful in providing programs for children. All that money is gone. Churches are closed. They can't pay people. Schools are locked down. There's no funding. I used to go to after school, and then they give you a break after 5 to 7. They would close, and then open up at 7 to 10, where a youngster could go somewhere safe and be in a warm environment where there's no crime, no drugs, no drama. Kid can be a kid. All that's gone. How many places do we have today that are free for children? How many?
You know,
Anti-poverty.
you make a really good point, because when I grew up, I had the same, ability. There was a recreation center, and we used to go there and play basketball. It was open, and there was no fear that something was going to happen, because I don't think seemed to be more normal. But you bring up a good point that, those of you watching this show and those who will watch this show, we should look at is, let's reopen these things, because what you were mentioning to me about what you created, that's a fantastic program that needs to be there continually. We can appropriate for different things, but we need to take a look at that. If we allow kids the opportunity to be together, to socialize, to play sports, to have good competition, healthy competition, there probably will be much less crime and violence. I think you make a good point.
One of our themes at Sports Foundation: sports and drugs don't mix. Sports and drugs don't mix. We would have the kids recite that. Sports and drugs don't mix. And we can, once we get them in our program, we can really reach the parents. When we would have an awards ceremony at the end of the summer, you couldn't get in the place because so many parents were required to be there. We wanted the parent to celebrate the child, to celebrate the award, to celebrate the program's success. And at the end of the Summer Youth Olympics, we would honor about 400 or 500 children with their parents and their friends, and it would become a family event. It was amazing. So 11 sporting events for male and female, from 10 and under all the way up to adults, where we'd have open events, and everything was free. Everything was free. What happened? I mean, where are the corporate, or where's the government? I don't know. Where did the money go where kids are not a priority anymore?
You're making such an important point, and it's interesting because you mentioned working with Bobby Hunter, the Globetrotter, and one of the things Mr. Hunter was talking about was bringing different basketball games into the New York City area, and actually all across the country, where we have the basketball, and we have, like what you said, with the Drug Free World program, drugs and sports don't mix. And Bobby Hunter has, I love his saying, he goes, "Hey man, that ain't my thing."
That ain't my thing. I love him. Well, the real Harlem basketball players, one of the things we're trying to do is bring back a showcase each summer, like the old days, where New York City All-Star basketball players 12 and under, 15 and under would play against Philly, and Philly would play against New York. And then it was expanded to Philly, Baltimore, and then Washington. I need funds so that I can bring that program back to New York City. I need sponsors. I need donations from the corporate world to join us in highlighting the success of Harlem basketball. And once we get this thing rolling, where we can bring Baltimore, Philly, and Washington to New York City for a 2-3 day basketball festival, where you can introduce children to professionals that are going to speak to them and teach them while you have them in your tenure. And I know it can work. I just wish someone would give me enough money to pay the people so we can get it off the ground. I mean, I have all these ideas. I've never ran a program that wasn't successful. I've never ran a school that didn't make it uh, a dynasty, a place where people wanted to go
Right.
because it was success.
Well, you know what I was going to say? Well, I was going to ask you. I think you have a fundraiser coming up. Is that right?
Yes, the Harlem Hall of Fame banquet. It's August 13th, Saturday, at Salem Methodist Church. Open the doors at 2 p.m. We're going to honor 5 coaches, 5 community people that are related to basketball, and I think it was 5 coaches, 5 players, and 5 community, 15 people. Each year we have a board of 9 members, and there are so many deserving people who need to be recognized. And if we're not going to do it, who's going to do it?
That's right.
Harlem is special. It's the mecca of basketball. Um, why can't we honor people who made it happen? I grew up with the boys of yesteryear, and I don't know if you know about the Harlem Wrens, but playing for the Harlem Y at 12 years old, we used to play before the pros. The Harlem Renaissance used to play in the Renaissance Ballroom on 138th Street, 7th Avenue. Of course, we would play our game on slippery floors that people would dance afterward, but we had a chance to play before the Harlem Wrens. And my first coach was Pop Gates, uh, Eric Illich, Snooky Junior Walker, uh, Mr. Page, Rucker, all of that. Harlem. I was exposed to all of these great men, and it made an impact on me, and I became successful. Now, basketball wasn't good to everybody because during the 60s, the drug epidemic wiped out so much talent. It's amazing. I can't tell you the number of guys who were so much better than me never got a chance because of their lifestyle. My brother was one who passed away at 24 years old.
Wow.
He lived a life that he made sure I did not live. He taught me what not to do. He made sure I did not follow behind the wrong person. He made sure I had good grades. And he always told me, don't be like me. Don't be like me. He showed me how to survive in New York City. And my mother was a strong, very strong individual. And because of that, growing up without a daddy, my brother was my daddy. My brother was the person who would straighten me out, um, put me on the right path. And thank God I had him. But he passed away at an early age of just, I'll put it like this, living a life of crime. And that's why I'm trying to give back so much, because I made it. I'm one of the few that made it. Um, you got to remember, look, I was an honor student from junior high school all the way through NYU. I went to Harvard Graduate School in Cambridge, became a principal, and then I left New York City to go to a job in Rockland County where I took the assistant principal job, and it was so exciting. I didn't want to leave it when they said, "Here's a building for you." I said, "No, I don't. I love what I'm doing here." And Rockland County, it was just success. The kids, the program ran, the building ran. Everything I put my hand on in terms of kids and programs, I think I was very, very successful. Nobody really say thank you, but I don't need that. I got enough thanks. The good Lord blessed me. That's enough for me. And I just want the banquet be sold out. We're going to honor our top award winner is Tom Satch Sanders.
Oh,
We're going
Satch
to honor
Sanders
him
from
with
the Celtics.
Wait, let me start over. Tom Satch Sanders, Boston Celtics. I think he has 7 or 9 rings. Well, he's going to be our top award winner and our Lifetime Achievement Award winner.
Wow.
Whereas the following years, our top award will be named after Tom Satch Sanders. So he will go down in history as far as real Harlem basketball players. We're going to highlight a young man who came out of Harlem, and we're going to give him his due. Now, there are a lot of other people. Luke Hornacek is going to be honored as a coach. Okay? Spoke with Mr. Hornacek about 15 minutes on the phone. He was so excited. It's like a child rebirth. He's just excited. He says, if I'm alive and well, I will be there. So we're going to try and honor each summer during Harlem Week athletes, community people, and our leaders in the most respectful way. We also would like to place these names somewhere in a central location in Harlem. We haven't found that location yet, but we'd like to put the names of the winners up so that the community can see who we honor each and every week. Each and every year. So there's a lot involved, and the money we raise from that, we use that to pay for the buses, the trophies for the kids, the uniforms, but it's not enough. I want somebody corporate-wise, Adidas, I don't know, somebody recognizes this is a gold mine in Harlem to attach themselves to, and they will get miles and miles of publicity. The buck will go far because we're not going anywhere. And one of the things we want to make sure
Well,
is that one
you
day
know what I was going to say? I'm sorry, because I can see that you and I could talk all night, and what we're talking about is so important. Unfortunately, we ran out of time for this show, but I want to emphasize that people should go to this gala event. And when is it again? August? What is it?
It's August 13th, Saturday, August 13th. Real Harlem Basketball Players, 2nd Annual Hall of Fame Banquet. Doors open at 2 p.m. It's on 129th Street and 7th Avenue, Salem Methodist Church. And we're going to honor Harlem's best that day. And we welcome any and everyone that's interested in attending. Go on Facebook and look us up, and you can get tickets, and you can also donate. We need donations. We definitely need donations.
Those donations will come in, you say, to Facebook, and is there also a website link or just a web Facebook?
On Facebook, yeah, it'll show you where to go, and we need the support. We need the community support. We need all the support we can get. And once again, thank you, Dr. Ben.
No, you know what? Thank you, because I see that what you do, someone like you needs to be supported. Our country, our world needs to wake up. The people who care need to be supported. So go onto Facebook, and it's at the Harlem Real Players, right?
Real Harlem Basketball Players. Real Harlem Basketball.
There we go.
I got the T-shirt on. I think. See here. There it is.
Okay, so
can you see it?
There you go. So go to the Real Harlem Basketball Players. Basketball Players. Okay, and get into that. Get your tickets for that event. Thank you for participating. Yes. And I look forward to being. I definitely will come. I look forward to being there. And for those of you watching, we hope you've had a good time, and definitely participate in this program. It's a fantastic program, and it'll change a lot of future kids' lives. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next show.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but Only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet